What's good, Steeler Nation? My name is Jack Sperry, and this is Steelers Talk. And the Steelers have made not one, but two massive trades just hours before the NFL trade deadline. We've got your breaking news coverage right here on Steelers Talk. It's going to be freaking fantastic. Let's start with the Chase Claypool trade that kicked everything off. The Bears, this was shocking to me because we saw reports earlier this week that Chase Claypool was not likely to get dealt because teams weren't willing to give the Steelers what they wanted. And I guess what they wanted was a second-round pick, because that's exactly what they got for him. They got a second-round pick from Chicago for Chase Claypool, and reports have been coming out now after the trade that Chase Claypool was becoming a locker room cancer. He was getting frustrated. He was getting really – the teammates his relationships with the people inside the locker room were beginning to deteriorate. So a trade was on the table for weeks now. So at the end of the day, I think this is a great trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You trade your number 3 wide receiver for a second-round pick that could turn into a starter for you next season right away. Second-round picks are incredibly valuable in the National Football League, and the Steelers just got one for their number 3 wide receiver. I like Chase Claypool, but at the end of the day, receiving talent is not the issue with the Steelers. They have a lot more holes to fill. And if he was being a locker room cancer and we got a second-round pick for him, I love this trade, guys. I'm going to give this a grade of an A. I love this trade, especially because now that we know that Claypool was not exactly getting along with his teammates and we still got a second-round pick for him, I think this is a bloody fantastic trade by Omar Khan, the Steelers GM. I'm going to give it an A, but you go in the comments right now and grade this trade. A, B, C, D, or F. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So whenever there's an ad break here on the show, go to the comment section and grade the Chase Claypool trade. All right, so this is the point in the show, guys, where I ask you to go subscribe to the channel, all right? Every single day, we put Steelers content here on Steelers Talk. We analyze the Steelers every single day. News and rumors coverage, we have it all here on Steelers Talk. So if you want to join our family, all right, and get us close to 19,000 subscribers, subscribe to the channel today and press that big red button. Now let's talk a little bit about Chase Claypool, what he did this season. 32 catches, 311 yards, nearly 10 yards per catch, and then a touchdown. And overall, it wasn't fantastic so far this year for Claypool, but a lot of that was Pickett just not throwing him the ball over the middle, because Claypool lines up in the slot. So he's going to be over the middle of the field a heck of a lot. And KP just wasn't really throwing him the ball all too much. I think he's a very talented guy, and I think he's going to be really, really good in Chicago. So good luck to him. Best of luck to him in Chicago. But at the end of the day, I think this is a good trade for the Steelers. In the past couple of years, 2020, his rookie season, he was fantastic. Last year, he dropped off a bit, and then this year, he's had a couple of really good games, has had some splash moments for the Steelers. But at the end of the day, he is their third option or third receiving option. So, the fact that we got a second-round pick to get rid of somebody that's been a locker room cancer for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think is a fantastic trade. But now that he is gone, let's take a look at the Steelers wide receiver depth chart. Diontae Johnson is still the wide receiver 1 technically. George Pickens is still wide receiver 2. Those two are your definite 1-2 combo for the Steelers. And now there's a little bit of controversy as to who will be taking over that third wide receiver position. My guess is it's going to be Steven Sims over Miles Boykin, because Sims is more of a slot guy. And that's what Claypool's role was in this offense, was that slot guy. So I think Steven Sims is going to slide in there to be the new slot guy, unless, who knows, maybe Omar Khan makes another trade today and picks up a slot receiver. You never know. But if this is the way that the wide receiver room is going to look from now on, it looks like Steven Sims is going to be the dude. So after this trade, this is what the Pittsburgh Steelers 2023 draft capital looks like. It looks like they're probably going to have a top 10 pick in the first round. If things keep going the way that things are going, they're going to have a top 10 pick in the second round if things keep going. And then they're going to get one from Chicago too. And we all know that Chicago's not the best team in the National Football League. So you're getting I mean, you might be getting 3 picks in the top maybe 40, maybe 45 here, and that's exactly what the Steelers need if they want to rebuild this roster from, and fill some of the holes that are plaguing this defense and offense. I mean, we need tackles, we need corners, we need, well, maybe not corners, but we'll get to that in a little bit, but linebackers. We need a lot of stuff on this team in order to succeed in the future and make this a quick rebuild, and getting this extra early round pick really, really helps things along for the Steelers, in my opinion. But now let's talk a little bit about how this affects the offense. Diontae Johnson is the number 1 receiver right now. It looks like he's probably not going to be traded, but I mean, Omar Khan, he's had a couple surprises today. You never know, but it looks like he's going to be remaining a Steeler. They signed him to a big contract. They obviously believe in him. He's one of the best route runners in the National Football League. He's had some issues with drops and body control and some of these other things and attitude this year, but he's not the guy that's the most well-rounded dude. That's George Pickens. George Pickens is your all-around receiver. Big, fast, good route runner, good hands, great body control. He makes fantastic catches. And, Diontae Johnson does his thing, which is get open against man coverage on 3rd down. And then Pickens does his thing, and he's that deep threat guy, that true X receiver. Now, there are some that have said in the comments that if we trade Claypool, people are just going to double George Pickens, and it's going to ruin his rookie year. I don't buy that whatsoever, because if you double George Pickens with Diontae Johnson on the other side, you are leaving Diontae Johnson like one-on-one on an island, and he's one of the best route runners in football. So if people want to double George Pickens now because Claypool's gone, I say have at it. I say have at it so that Diontae Johnson can absolutely toast some of the best corners in the National Football League with his route running, and then he becomes the deep threat option. But, I think that from a schematic standpoint, I think the Steelers are still fundamentally sound because you've got your get-open guy in Diontae Johnson to keep the double teams away from George Pickens. And I think now with Claypool out of the picture, Kenny Pickett is going to be looking towards George Pickens more often, which is something that I've been calling for weeks. Last week, 3 targets to George Pickens and no catches. That's unacceptable. Now, with Claypool out of the picture, it looks like that the offensive game planning is going to be going more towards Diontae Johnson and especially George Pickens, which is fantastic for this offense, in my opinion. Now, losing a talent like Chase Claypool, is a great run blocker, big, fast, one of the best big slot guys in the league, certainly hurts a little bit, but the fact that he was a locker room cancer and we're getting a really high draft pick for him, man, I think this is a fantastic trade, and I don't think it's going to affect the Steelers' offense too much. So like this video to wish Chase Claypool the best of luck in Chicago. No matter how you feel about Chase Claypool, he was a Steeler. He was a part of the Steelers family, and now he's gone. His service has ended to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So like this video to thank Chase Claypool for the time that he had in the black and gold. Now let's get into this second trade that went on this afternoon. Ian Rappaport reporting that the Steelers traded for Washington Commanders cornerback Will Jackson III. We talked about him this morning. And then there was another report that came out that he was actually, if he didn't get traded today, he would have been put on waivers. The Steelers didn't want to take any chances today, so they ended up doing a late pick swap, so pretty much a 7th-round pick swap with the Commanders for William Jackson III. And I said this morning that I would have been willing to give up a 5th-round pick for him, a 5th or 6th-round pick, and we got him for a 7th. And it's not really even a true 7 because we're swapping. So we still have a pick in the 7th round. We're just swapping for whoever has the highest or lowest pick there. But at the end of the day, William Jackson III is somebody that's been a number 1 corner in this league in a defense like the Steelers. It was when William Jackson went to Washington and Ron Rivera's zone-style defense. He's not a zone corner, guys. He's a man corner. And the Steelers, when they're at their best, when Mike Tomlin's defense is at its best, they need really good man corners. And William Jackson III has the ability to do just that. Now, he is 30 years old, so at the end of the day, the question of is there still tread on the tires? That is the big question with William Jackson III. But at the end of the day, I think this is a good risk to take because if he hits, if William Jackson III hits and he becomes a legit number 1 cornerback in the National Football League again for this team, at the end of the day, they don't need the Steelers won't need to use one of those valuable draft picks early on a cornerback. If they didn't make this trade, or if William Jackson doesn't pan out, it's they're most likely going to be drafting a corner because we know that the Steelers need cornerback help. Right now, William Jackson III, you can plug him in right now to this Mike Tomlin defense. Mike Tomlin and this Steelers front office, they were in love with William Jackson when he was coming out in the draft in 2016, and they were one pick away from actually taking him in the first round before Cincinnati swooped up and took him at 24. So I think that in terms of scheme fit, in terms of skill set fit, I think in terms of trying to make your team better for the long run, I love this trade because you're getting a guy that can potentially be a solid starter for you, not just this year, but in the future. And you're not giving up all too much draft capital. And then if you put the Claypool trade on top of that, you're getting a high draft pick to use next year. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think both of these trades are bloody fantastic. I would give both trades a grade of A. But let me know in the comments which one that you guys are the most excited about. Type C if you're excited about the Claypool trade and getting that second-round pick and what we could potentially do with that. Or type J for the William Jackson trade if that's the one that you're really excited about. I would have a hard time picking here, but I think I'm more excited about William Jackson III because I think the scheme fit is something that's going to fit his skill set nicely. I'm a little bit worried about the age, but I guess we're just going to have to see how it unfolds over the rest of the season. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. And remember, if there's more breaking news, if Omar Khan pulls another rabbit out of his hat today, we'll be doing another video here on Steelers Talk. So stay tuned. Make sure that you have Twitter notifications on and just stay updated on all the latest Steelers news. So if there is another trade, you can come back here and we can do this again. Thanks again, Steeler Nation. You are the best. I am so juiced. I will see you guys either today or tomorrow.